everybody, welcome to my little Stitcher Corner. I'm Suki, the brown-eyed Stitcher, and I'm happy to have you here. Today I've got six projects. Six projects I worked on in the last 2 weeks, and I have a knitting finish to just show you since I've talked about knitting socks before. These ones I knit from the toe to the cuff. This is just my second pair of knitting socks. So there's a lot I'm learning. The sizing is much better than my first pair, but still not quite nice enough. But I did really like going from the toe to the cuff. And I did an afterthought heel, which is where you come back and add the heel at the end, like once you've knitted the rest of it, and the process was fine, except I would have stopped sooner. Maybe at the end of this purple round, I think that would have been better. And this is very stretchy indeed, the cuff, but it works and fits on my feet just fine. They're just a little looser than I love them, but I'm pretty proud of my second pair of socks. Anyway, each pair does seem to be getting better. I'm learning as I go. Okay, so cross stitching. My first project to show you is Bubble Bubble Chocolate Trouble, artwork by Randall Spangler, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. They're so cute. I'm not typically a Halloween person, but I mean, how can you go wrong with hot chocolate and marshmallows? And there's pumpkins and a fire. This is stitched on 25 count, easy count, 2 over 1/10 stitch, which if you've been here before is my jam, and well, 10 stitches. I actually prefer 28 count, but I like to talk about 10 stitch. So if you have questions, I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. So here I know I finished in here, and then I was stitching in black, and I decided to just kind of go down and stitch as much as I could. And then I picked a blue color, and I was stitching that, so it comes all the way over here. Somewhere in here is the halfway point, and the blue is all around, like even down here on either side of the branches. So that was 2,363 stitches. I think I stitched on this for 4 days. 4 days, and got in that 2,600 or 2,300. So now it's at 2.86%. This is fast to stitch, especially in the sky, because there's not a lot of color at all. So I was working over here, got about halfway. And this, it is, I'm used to working on my super size max color, which sometimes has a lot of color changes in it. So this one, in comparison, at this point, feels very fast stitching. That weekend, the weekend after my last video, I pulled out Temperature Library 2. This is by Christy's Corner Needlework on Etsy. She has Temperature Library 1 that was charted for 2021, and number 2 is charted for 2022. She also has a pack in her shop where you can, with little tchotchkes like this, that you can swap out for whatever you want. So I think I'm going to get it and see if any of them feel like a better fit for maybe what I did in the different months. But I do like what is charted too. So if I don't see anything that super calls to me, then I'll totally just do what's charted. These I'm stitching my rainbow in jewel tones. I covered that in one of my previous videos, though I can't remember what. So this is January, this is February, and it's March now. I should be like here, and I'm not. That's okay. I made progress, and you can see how my temperature has gone over this year. It started out, this is New Year's Day, and this is like 70 or 75, 80 degree weather, and then it got cold, and then it got warm, and then it got cold, and then it got warm, and then it got cold, and then it got warm, and then it got cold. It's like, it'll get really beautiful, it'll be in the 60s, even in the 70s, and then the next day it'll be 20, 30 degrees colder in Fahrenheit. These are Fahrenheit numbers. I'm sorry, I don't know the Celsius off the top of my head. And that's how my weather is. And it's continued like that. Last week, Sunday was this gorgeous 80-degree weather, and then 6 days later on Saturday, it was snowing and like 30 degrees. It'll be exciting to see what colors end up coming out as I actually get caught up. I should bring it out more often than I am right now, so that I can stay caught up. I've never been caught up, so why do I say stay caught up? So I can get caught up and then stay caught up, so that it's a finish on December 31st, 2022. I think that would be pretty neat. After that weekend, I went to Father Christmas. So this would have been last week. Father Christmas with Toys. It's a Max Color version. Artwork by Yvonne Gilbert. Charted by Heaven and Earth Design. This probably drives me the most crazy when I'm stitching it. It feels very slow, and I keep trying different things to see if there's any way that I can kind of speed up how I'm stitching. So when I started this way back in 2018, I did extreme cross country, starting with the least amount of stitches and then going to the most. I did get several colors in, but as you can see, I didn't really get very far. When I picked it back up again, I started in this corner and just started filling in the whole page. This last week when I picked it up, I started filling in an entire color throughout the whole page. And that's working pretty well. The red outlines a page, and then obviously I've got the grid in between. So that's been helping. I think I have 2 colors finished throughout the whole. One of them's a really light pink, so it's hard to see. But I did 2 colors throughout the whole thing. Started on the 3rd up here. it'll get done. This is on 28 count, easy count. Mind blank. The normal way. 2 over 1, 10 stitch. It's like how I stitch all of them. One day I will have that finished, but it just might take a long time because unless I figure out regular size max color stitching. Oh, I put in like 2,000 stitches on that. I think I worked on it for 4 days. Okay, not even 2,000 stitches. 1,695 stitches to bring it to 3.61%. I can't remember if it was 3 days or 4 days that I worked on it. Queen of the Night is by Josephine Wall, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. And this one I'm trying to work on every Friday, so I can get some pretty decent progress in and keep this one moving forward. It's on 25 count, easy count, 2 over 1 10 stitch. It's my smallest Heaven and Earth design. And I'm working on page 2. Everything above the swoop of the line of the wing is filled in. And a lot of this light color up here is filled in. And I'm filling it in color by color throughout the page. And I found out that this has Krennic in it. I didn't realize that. I do have Krennic on hand for it, but I didn't know. So I haven't stitched it in yet, but there's some up here in the wing I noticed. So that'll be fun. There's going to have some sparkle in this piece. I'm so excited. This is actually a gift for one of my very dear friends, and she turns 40 this year, so I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this before her birthday, which is okay. We live several states away. I'm not even going to see her on her birthday. But this is my gift to her. So she loves Josephine Wall. She has a wall in her bedroom that she finds Josephine Wall puzzles and puts them together and puts them up there. She found an Amy Stewart bookshelf puzzle and has that on her wall to, because of me. It's so sweet. I love her. So this is her present. So it's somewhat on a deadline because I want to give this to her, not the next time I see her because I'm going to see her in April, but the time after that, which I don't even know. Sometime next year probably. I want to be able to give this to her. So every Friday I try to pull it out. I put in 1,893 stitches, and that was over 2 Fridays. So it's at 9.93%. I feel like it goes at a pretty good pace. I only started this at the beginning of November, and I didn't work at it at all, I think, in December. So being at 10% in just a few months of stitching it, I feel like it's pretty good. And then last Saturday, had a new start. And I love it so much. I'm obsessed about this one. I really love it. This is Bella Filipina, Mayari, deity of the moon. And she is so pretty. In November last year, I was talking with or made an Instagram stitchy friend talking about things that we wanted to stitch in 2022. And I mentioned I wanted to stitch a Bella Filipina, but I didn't know what. I actually had a whole list of designers, and I said, I don't know which one of this one yet, or this, or this. And we specifically talked about Bella Filipinas. And I showed her my top 3, she showed her top 3, and Mayari was in common between both of us. So we both immediately bought like all the things for it. All the things we could. We've had to slowly, some of the Krennics aren't very easy to get. And in fact, I'm still missing one. It got back ordered. Anyway, we waited until both of us had our fabric and then started on the same day. Her name is Liv on Instagram, Living for Stitching. I'll link her or show her up on the screen. My fabric is from Be Stitch Me. It is 28 count opalescent Lugana, and it's a half yard. It doesn't quite need the full half yard, but it needs more than a quarter for 28 count. And it's what was recommended was 14 count opalescent Aida in Cosmos by Bestitch Me. So I just got the 28 count version in Lugana instead of Aida. And I showed this fabric before. It's so sparkly. Isn't it so pretty? But y'all, look how big this is. And she goes almost up to the top, or she will. She's like 2 feet tall. It's gonna be fantastic. So the last video I posted is a Stitch With Me, number 3, where I start this and I talk about just my process, and I got started stitching on her. The reason I did that was because this is new to me. I've never stitched a fancy lady. I've never stitched on hand-dyed fabric, and I thought maybe there's going to be other people like me who just need a little bit of a push to feel comfortable with the process of somebody else who is also experiencing a new thing. So I just talked about how I made some of my decisions. Like there's this lovely pink part right here, and I had to decide where I wanted her to be in relation to this pink part. Because up here there's very little pink, pinky purple. Oh, I just love this. Okay, anyway, that's what I've done so far, is this right here. And I really am kind of obsessed. But I'll show you. That's this part right here. It's not even halfway. It's the top of, there's 6 pattern pages. 2, 4, 6. And this is the top, almost the top. The ribbon comes down right here. But this is almost the top of that 3rd page. So this is really only a third, and it comes down about to here. So this really is only a third of the height of her, and it's beautiful. But this is what this picture is just a computer rendering, and there's things you can't tell in it. So I thought I was going to start on this bottom corner, or point, but it's beading and Krennics, and I wasn't feeling ready to tackle the beading and Krennic. Certainly not the beading. I didn't want the beading until the end anyway, but I wasn't ready to tackle Krennic. I just wanted to like pull out what's familiar, right? Like DMC floss. I know how to stitch DMC floss. this whole band, I don't know if there's any DMC of floss in it, but if there is, it's not much. So I had to come up to her dress. But all of that like orange and pink is like beading and acrylic. And then in her skirt, you can see like little dots. That's all beading as well. So that's why you see these little empty holes. That's beading. This is one of those red dot things with beadings and acrylics, I think. It's gonna be so sparkly. She's gonna be so pretty, and I love her. I don't even know what else to say about her. I wish I knew how to count my stitches on paper patterns because it would be fun to kind of keep track of that too, but I don't know how to easily, so I don't. So that's my first Bella Filipina, and it won't be my last. I already have another pattern I want to do. It was just released in February, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically an amethyst mermaid. So it's the first in a birthstone. Hopefully it's the first, and that he'll do the rest. I saw a comment that said that he would do more, but like depending on demand. I think the people are demanding them. It's beautiful, but it's purple, and it's a mermaid, and she even has purple hair. And my birthday's in February, and it was just perfect and meant to be. So I already got that, and I know that I'm going to stitch that one after I'm done Mayari. So, oh, let's see. And that one, I already told you about the fabric. I'm stitching it 2/1, or 2/2, I'm sorry. 2/2, but like all the called for stuff. No substituting whatsoever. I love her as is. The last piece I worked on, of course, you already know this. My super size max color treasure hunt bookshelf, artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. This one I work shelf by shelf. So I finished shelf 1. You can see that in Flosstube video number 1. And now I've been working on shelf 2. Everything just fell off my lap here. So since you last saw this, this is my everyday piece. I work on it every day unless I am on vacation, because I cannot take this piece with me. And my minimum stitch count is 500. I think there's only been one day when it was so busy I only got 300 or whatever, but I aim for a minimum of 500. So I put in the last 2 weeks 7,428 stitches. So it's at 35.80% now. This is 28 count easy count, 2/1 10 stitch. And what I did on the second shelf was I found the bottom of the shelf on this side. I stitched it down, came all the way across so that it's outlined. Because it was weird seeing all of this blank fabric. So let me show you. This girl is like a full 2%, I feel like. I think when I was, when I was at 34%, I was almost done this part over here. And ever since then, like, kind of, this has been 34 and 35% of the chart. It's crazy. And I'm almost done. You can see I'm almost done her through the second shelf. She does extend into the third shelf. I didn't even know that there were bubbles. There's a bubble here. There's a bubble there. There's a bubble here. I didn't even know. I love the color of her ribbon. There's nothing about this entire chart that I don't love. I super love it. My scroll rods are from Kay's Creation. They are custom made. So I told them the width of my fabric, the width of my fabric, and they cut the scroll rods a little bit longer. But my Flosstube video number 5 talks more about how I stitch this piece, like my setup for it with my stand and everything. So you can check that out if you have more questions, but you can also always leave me comments with questions or not questions. I answer all of them. Whew. Okay, so that is everything I have stitched on in the last 2 weeks. So, before I tell you what's coming up, I wanted to show you this piece of fabric I got. Where's my thing that tells me what it is? This is Stormy Night. It's a Belfast linen, 32 count, I think. Yep, 32 count. And it is a really nice gray. Oh wait, I gotta show it to you this way because that's the variegated side. Isn't that so pretty? I'm really excited for this. My thread for it isn't in yet, but it's coming to me. It's going to be for this piece by Ink Circles, my first ink circle piece. I have absolutely no idea how to say that, but that's what it's called, and I love it, and I can't wait to see what the floss looks like with this. I think it's going to be perfect. The other piece that, they're not companion pieces because they're different designers completely, but in my mind, because in my mind, the way in my mind, they're companion pieces. Sometimes it's best not to explain my mind. Long Dog samplers, Pavon for these times. This one I'm gonna stitch inverse. I have a fabric, it's just white right now. This is a 36 count. This is so it's little. It's gonna go this way. I'm going to do a new thing and dye this purple. I'm wanting a dark purple, and then have like a silvery gray thread, which is also not here yet. So I'm doing this on a dark fabric with light stitches, and I'm doing this one on, I mean, it's kind of a light, it's inverse of the other one. So the floss for this is like purple, I think it has turquoise and purples in it. And then I'm excited to see them. But I've never dyed anything before. So if you have dyed, I've talked to a few people. Someone sent me a video, like a nice, simple instructions. But if you have any tips for me before I take this on, maybe I'll film it. That's so nerve-wracking, but there's got to be other people who also want to try dyeing something, and it looks so easy when somebody who's experienced does it, that sometimes seeing someone who's never done it before do something can give you the push that you need. So maybe I'll do that. When the floss comes in for those, I will probably start them both. Or they'll just wait their turn in May. We'll see. Okay. My plans for the next 2 weeks is to stitch Treasure Hunt Bookshelf every day and Queen of the Night on Fridays. At that point, beyond that, I sort of have a plan, but also don't. So, I don't know what I'm going to stitch, and I don't know what to show you. I do think I want to do a new start. And there's a reason why I have all of these new starts happening. And I'm going to get to that, sort of. I'm going to stitch the Summer Garden by the Drawn Thread. There we go. I love all of the seasonal gardens from the Drawn Thread, and I am planning on doing every single one of them. The house is in like normal cross stitching, but all of the garden is specialty stitches. So I'm very excited. And I got the pack from their website, so it came with fabric and this and the floss. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna start that on Saturday, maybe. Okay. Now I'm gonna explain why I have all these starts. Well, I don't know what I'm going to explain. This, I can't see what I'm showing you. I printed out pictures of all my whips. And they're shiny because I laminated them, and that's okay if it's shiny on your end because you've seen all of these before. I've got 13 whips right now. But I want to do Mania this year. I think it's going to be the only time I do this kind of a Mania. But I wanted to do it. So I'm doing it. So in May, I want to have a different project for every day of the month to stitch on. Ever since I had this idea, I've been planning for it. I've been choosing my patterns. I've been purchasing, and I've been having all of these starts because I don't care. They don't need to be new starts in May. I just want something different every day to stitch on. Except for Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, which will still get stitched on every single day. So I'm not traveling anywhere in May. I do have dance recital right near the beginning. So that first week of May is going to be crazy town, but I'm still going to stitch on something different every single day. And it's going to be so much fun. I'm excited. So I printed out pictures for those as well. Right here. And I do kind of have different categories. Actually, I definitely have different categories. I have full coverage, and the things below it, this is my full coverage section. This is I call them mediums, because I didn't have another word for it, but I call them mediums. And then I have smalls, and I have no smalls started. They are all on the back of this board, so that's why there's a whole big space right here that's empty. And then this section I'm calling specialty, because either they have specialty stitches, or it's a hand-dyed fabric, or beading, or Even the monochrome ones, the Long Dog Sampler and the ink circles I just showed you, I'm putting them under specialty. So my plan here after Mania is I will always have one focus piece, this one right now, that I work on daily. And I will keep this as a daily piece until it's finished. And this one will be finished by the end of 2024. So nothing else is going to take that spot for a long time. But then in each of these other 4 categories, my full coverage, mediums, smalls, and specialty, I'm going to have one focus piece at a time. That doesn't mean I won't work on other pieces. It just means if I need to let my brain have a break from making decisions and choices, which is often the case, I have these focus pieces that are easy for me to grab. And do I want to do specialty right now? Okay, I'm going to grab this one. Do I want a dark fabric? Okay, you know, whatever the case is. Something small that I can take on the road and maybe get it done really soon. I have a whole big small section. By the end of May, I'll have a lot. This is my full coverage focus. I talked about why that's the case. Queen of the Night. My medium focus is Under the Sea Sal 2017 by Lakeside Needlecraft. The reason I chose this as my medium focus is because this is my oldest, it's my second oldest piece, whip. Started in 2017, obviously. I only have one that's older than that. But this is my oldest medium, so I want it done. And then my focus for specialty is Mayari because I just love her so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing her come up. But I have no set rules. If I want to work on something else, I'm just going to pull it out. But this will give me some guidance. Now, there's one more category I want to add for a nice, I don't know, however many categories that makes. 1, 2, 3. It'll be 5 for right now, but after May it'll become a 6th category because of my smalls. And that is y'all's favorite. Okay, so anytime that somebody says something that they like that I'm stitching or they want to see me stitch on it, in the comments of my Flosstube videos, any of them, well, starting with this video, I'm going to start keeping kind of a tally. Okay, so y'all get a vote for your favorites. And whatever is the highest at whatever point I'm choosing, sorry, that like jutted up, is going to become another focus piece. Does that make sense? So here's what I have started right now. Don't choose one that I just said was a focus. We've got Bubble Bubble Chocolate Trouble, Neuschwanstein Castle, Woodland Enchantress, Father Christmas with Toys, Frodo and Galadriel, Mystery Town, Temperature Bookshelf, Peaceful Garden, and Twisted Band Sampler. Leave your comments with which one of those are your favorites or you want to see me stitch on. And whichever one ends up having the highest votes, or not really voting, I guess it's votes, is going to become like y'all's favorite category. And I'm gonna work on it until I reach a goal on it, or depending on what it is, maybe I'll just work on it until it's finished, whatever. Maybe I'll rotate them every month or every video. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I thought it'd be fun because then the decision's not up to me, it's up to you. So, okay, that's all I've got to show you today. And I don't know what I'm going to stitch on later today. Maybe I should pull out Under the Sea Sal and give that one a little bit of love. Except I really want to work on Mayari. We'll see. Maybe I need to give each day of the week its own focus project. Or maybe I'm overthinking this too much. I just have too many ideas and I want to do them all. And some ideas are conflicting with each other, so you can't do them all. I think you guys know how that goes. And we just stitch anyway. So, happy stitching, everybody. And I will see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!